Alright guys, so we are finishing up our unit on transformations. We've covered individual transformations. For example, we've done one rotation or one reflection, one translation. So today what we're going to do is kind of combine all that and do multiple transformations. So we're going to do multiple things to these pre-images to get to our image. So for example, in this one right here, we start off with figure ABCD. We're going to apply this sequence to the pre-image to get this final image. So we're going to do two different types of transformations on one single image. So first we're going to apply this one right here. This is a translation. So we're just going to go right 3, down 4, and then once we get those new points, then we will apply this, which is a reflection over the y-axis. So let's start with these points just so you can see. So we're going to start with our point A. We're going to apply that first transformation right here. We're going to go to the right 3. We're going to go down 4, and then the next transformation right here is to reflect it across the y-axis. So reflecting it means that if this is my line of reflection and I am 3 away, I'm going to be 3 away on this side as well. So we're going to do that to all of our points. Alright, let's do an actual example together. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is take our pre-image right here, ABCD, and that is our starting point right here. So what I want to do is write out the points that I'm starting with, my original points for that pre-image. So the point A is at the origin, it's at 0, 0. The point B is at 5, 2. The point C is at 3, 5. And the point D is at 1, 3. Alright, so I want to apply this first transformation to my pre-image, and so I'm going to do that image in pink so I can see the difference and we can kind of follow the sequence. Alright, so the point A, after a transformation, we know that that point A is now the point A prime. So what we're going to do is we're going to take whatever our starting value is for x and we're going to add 2 to it. So here our starting value for x is a 0. We're going to add 2 to that. So 0 plus 2 is 2. Then the next thing it says to do is to leave our y value alone. It says that from the original point, so like from A to A prime, it's not going to change. That y value stays exactly the same. So that 0 stays a 0. Alright, so let's go to B goes to B prime. So it says to add 2 to the x value, so 5 plus 2 is 7, and the y value stays the same. So B prime is the point 7, comma 2. Alright, C prime, we're adding 2 to the x value. Oh, sorry about that. And we are going to leave that y value the same. So we get the point 5, 5. And then lastly, for D prime, we're going to add 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3. The y stays the same. Alright, so let's go ahead and plot these points on here so we can see how that affects our image. So the first point, A prime, is at 2, 0. B prime is at 7, 2. So 7, 2 is up here. And C prime is at 5, 5. And D prime is at 3, 3. Alright, so this is after one transformation. We've just shifted our pre-image over 2. So we've done a translation. Now we want to apply the final transformation, which I'm going to do in green so you can see that. Alright, so I know this is going to be a reflection. So if we've gone from A to A prime, we're going to go to A double prime. So that means I've applied 2 transformations to this point. Alright, so my x value now is staying the same. So whatever I'm getting from my A prime point, that x value is staying the same. So it's a 2. And then my y value is just changing the sign. So here, for A prime, my Y value is positive, then it changes to a negative. So here I'm going to have a 0, and it's going to change to a negative 0, which is really not a thing, because 0 is not positive or negative. So it just stays 0. Alright, so B prime is going to become B double prime, because this is our second transformation. Our X value is staying the same, so it's still going to stay a 7. But our Y says to change the sign. So we're going to change that positive 2 to a negative 2. Alright, C double prime, the X value stays the same, the Y value changes the sign, so it becomes a negative 5. And last one is D double prime, so our X value stays the same for this coordinate, and our Y value is just going to become negative. Alright, so let's go ahead and plot these points so we can see what that reflection looks like. So we've got double prime is at 2, 0, so it's going to be that point right there. Then we've got a point at 7, negative 2, a point at 5, negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3, negative 3. So we'll connect my dots, and that funky looking image right there is my reflection. So I went from my original here, did my translation, and then I did my reflection. And remember, that reflection just flips that image over the line. Alright, so we could have actually done this in one transformation. So if I was to combine this into one single transformation, I would have started with my original X and Y points, whatever those are, and those would transform into, well, here for the first one we did X plus 2, and we just write X plus 2 because we didn't change anything here to go to our third one. And then for our Y's, we didn't change anything going from image 1 to image 2, but then to image 3 we just changed the sign. So then our Y would just be negative. So this is combined, is this sequence of transformations. This is that same sequence, just combined into one single transformation. Alright, let's look at the next example. Alright, so I want to take my original image, which is here, my pre-image, I'm sorry, and I want to write down my points. So I've got the points. A is at 0, 0, B is at 5, 1, C is at 3, 8, and D is at 2, 3. Okay, so I want to do my first transformation, so I'm going from my original right here. I'm going to go to this from my pre-image to my image. So this is after one transformation. So let's go ahead and figure out what those points would be. So we're going to leave our X value the same. So this is saying that from this image 1 to image 2, that X value is not changing. So A prime is going to stay 0, comma, and then our Y value is going to go, we're going to subtract 8 from it. So whatever we're starting with, we're going to subtract 8 to get that new value. So if we're starting with a 0 and we subtract 8, 0 minus 8 gives us a negative 8. Alright, so for B prime, again, our X value stays the same, so that X value stays the same. And then we subtract 8 from the Y value. So 1 minus 8 is a negative 7. So that is our B prime. Alright, C prime. X value stays the same. We're going to subtract 8 from this. So 8 minus 8 is 0. D prime. X value stays the same. 2. Y value, we subtract 8. So 3 minus 8 is a negative 5. Alright, so let's go ahead and graph that so we can see how that affected our image. So we're going to have a point at 0, negative 8, a point at 5, negative 7, right there, a point at 3, 0, and and a point at 2, negative 5. All right, so let's go ahead and connect those dots. All right, so this is our original. This is our pre-image. After one transformation, we have just slid this image down. All right, the third transformation. So we are going from A prime to A double prime. And it says that what we're going to do is take that x value that we have here for A prime and we're going to multiply it by 2. So 2 times 0 is 0. And our y value is not going to change. So it's saying that from this point to here, that y value stays the same. We're not going to do anything to it. So it stays as a negative 8. All right, so B double prime. This is going to be multiplied by 2 because it tells us we need to multiply it by 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. The y value stays the same, so we get 10, negative 7. For C double prime, we have got to multiply that x value right there of 3 by 2. So 3 times 2 is a 6, and the y is going to stay the same. So we get the 0.60. And then lastly, that 2 gets multiplied by 2 because it tells us. So that's 4. And then that y value stays the same. All right, so what we're doing here, when we apply this, when we multiply our x or our y value by a number, we're actually causing a dilation. So we're going to make our image larger or smaller when we multiply that x coordinate or y coordinate by some number. All right, so let's go ahead and plot these points and see how much larger our image is now. So we've got a point at 0, negative 8, which is the same one right there. But now we've got B double prime is at 10, negative 7. So we're going to go over to 10 and out to negative 7, which is here. C double prime is at 6, 0. And then we've got D double prime at 4, negative 5. So right there. So you can see that we kind of stretched our image a little bit bigger. So this is our final image. So we did this was our original pre-image, then after one transformation, after the second transformation. All right, so if we wanted to write this as a single transformation, we would start with our x and our y, our original points. And then let's look and see what happened here to our x values. So from here to here, we did nothing, but from here to here, we multiplied by 2. So there we go. And then lastly, if we had our y values did not change, we subtracted from here to here, but they did not change from the second to the third transformation or images. So we just have y minus 8. So this is this sequence written as a single transformation. All right, next example. So the first thing that we're going to do is translate this original pre-image. We're going to do a translation, which is just a fancy math word for saying that we're going to slide it or move it, shift it right down or up and to the left. Okay, so we want to go, if we're taking our x values and we're adding 1, that's going in the positive direction on that graph, 1. So we're going to go to the right one. And then for our y values, if we're adding 4, that's a positive direction on the y axis. So we're going to go up 4. So we're going to take our point A and we're going to shift to the right one and then go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is our new point for A. So that is A prime. Next we're going to go to B. We're going to go to the right one, up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. For C, same thing. 1, then up 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so this is our image. After the translation, we just slid that up on the graph. All right, next one is a reflection across the line L. So I don't know if you can see it, but right here on our graph, there's a little label that says that that line right there is the line L. So we're going to reflect it across that line, and like I've told you before, I prefer to count over to my line of reflection if I'm using a graph. So this B prime point is going to remain in the same place because it's on the line of reflection. So then let's go down to C prime. So C is 1 away from that line of reflection, so I'm going to go 1 away from it on the opposite side. So that is my C double prime. And then A is 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So I'm going to go 4 away on this right side. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, connect my dots again. And there we go. So this is our translation. That was our first transformation, and then our reflection. Alright, the last one that we are doing is got 4 steps to it, or we're going to end up with 4 different images. So we're going to start off with our original, which is right here. So that is this rectangle ABCD. The first thing that we are going to do is reflect it across the y-axis. So we're going to do that transformation right there. So we're reflecting across this line right here. So let's do our point A. So A is 1, 2, 3, 4 away on the left-hand side. So we're going to be 4 away on the right-hand side of that line. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Same thing for B. B is 3 away, so we're going to be 3 away on this side. For C and D, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 on this side. And then D is 4 away. 4 away on this side as well. Alright, connect my dots. And that is my image after a reflection across the y-axis. Alright, so now I want to rotate 90 degrees clockwise. So I know that we kind of stressed the fact that when we are doing a rotation, we always rotate counterclockwise. So if we were taking this and doing a rotation, we would rotate in that direction. But because it has noted it here, we're going to go in this opposite direction. We're going to go clockwise direction this time. So we're going to go from quadrant 1, 90-degree rotation will end us up in quadrant 4. So anytime that we do a rotation of 90 degrees, we flip the x and the y values and then obey the quadrant sign. Alright, so what we mean by that is in this quadrant, we've got an x coordinate and a y coordinate, and we need to talk about whether they're positive or negative. So in this quadrant here, my x values are all going to be positive. In this quadrant, my y values are all negative. Okay? So let's start off with our A prime. And I'm going to write it in orange just so that we can see the movement. So we've got a point at 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. B prime is at 3, 4. C prime is at 3, 1, and D prime is at 4, 1. Alright, so that rotation, we're going to flip the x and the y. So flipping the x and the y, this first example, they are the same numbers, so you can't tell. But we're going to obey the quadrant sign. So in this quadrant, my x values are positive, my y values are negative. So this guy's going to be a positive, and this guy's going to be negative. Alright, next one, B double prime. We're going to flip that x and y. And we want to make sure that our y changes sign. So since it was positive, now it's going to be negative. Alright, C, flip the x and the y. And then we are going to change the sign of the y. So since it's positive, we're going to make it a negative. And last one, flip that x and y coordinates. And our new y is changing sign, so it becomes negative. Alright, so I want to plot these points on the graph so you can see that rotation. So I've got a point at 4, negative 4 right there for A double prime, a point at 4, negative 3 for B. For C, we've got a point at 1, negative 3. And then D is right there at 1, negative 4. Connect my dots. And that is now my image after a reflection and now a rotation. Okay, last one. we are going to translate a negative direction with my x is 6, so that when we're talking about negative direction for x's, we're going to go to the left 6, and then a positive direction on my y-axis means I'm going up 2. So I'm going to take my points. Let's start at A, and I'm going to go to the left 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then up 2, 1, 2. So that is the new point A triple prime. B, same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up 2, 1, 2. C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up 2. And D is the same thing, over to the left 6 and up 2. Connect my dots, and there we go. Alright, so hopefully you can see that as we add more and more transformations to these images, that's why it's so important that we follow the order. It does matter, okay? Alright guys, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.